How's it going, everyone? Welcome to this week's Q&A. So like any of the week, if you want a chance to win your questions being answered, make sure you do drop a comment down below. I am still in Europe, so I'll have a couple of images throughout the video. If you want to go ahead and take a stab at where I've been this past week, go ahead and drop a comment down below. If not, you just want to look at the video itself, then that's fine as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first question of the weekend. Should you replace proactively your head studs on the 2.0T from Honda and Acura? This person also asked if they could use the 1.5T head studs as they had upgraded from a vehicle with a 1.5T to a 2.0T. And no, the head studs are different. So you could go ahead and sell those head studs and buy the right ones for the Accord if you wish, or the RDX, whatever the application may be. I think it is an Accord, but very similar engine. So those engines, they do seem to hold a lot better and are doing fairly better as far as the head gaskets blowing or not blowing. So that is a good thing. They've been known to hold well over 500 wheel horsepower. That's kind of where they start getting a little bit of a questionable, and if they can stay together long term. If you have bolt-ons or even an upgraded turbo, many guys have done plenty of miles on them and no issues with the head gasket blowing. Eventually, even on a stock application, I believe they will blow a head gasket in most cases, not all cases, but certainly in most cases, they are still forced induction. So a lot of pressure under load there. But yes, they are faring a lot better than a 1.5T. I would personally leave it alone until needed. At that point, replace the head gasket, replace the, upgrade the head studs, and get the head and the block checked, make sure nothing's going on. Now, if the vehicle's fairly new, so 10, 20,000 miles, and it hasn't been really abused, and you want to be proactive about it, then I'd be okay with upgrading the head studs as well. So some people like to do them one by one. I think the right way to do it is remove it, replace it with a new head gasket, install the head studs, and do it that way. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, so the next question is a poor AC performance from Hondas and Acuras. And this is a complaint that we get a ton of. And I believe I touched on this a couple of weeks back. So I will say that in most cases, best case scenario, we're probably getting the AC levels at about 43 to 45 degrees, which is pretty good. I will say that I did have a GMC or a Chevy Silverado, so GM product, and the AC was a couple of degrees cooler. Probably a lot of times would touch the 30s in Hondas. I find a very hard time to get it there. Now, best application or best way for you to get your best AC performance is if it's extremely hot out, open your windows, let all the hot air out, full blast AC, recirculation on, all that good stuff. After you drive maybe a mile or two, close the windows, keep the AC running full blast. And then after a couple of minutes, turn it down to midway, so about halfway of the blower motor speed. And that's usually when we get our best results. And if you really want it towards your face, then obviously have the vents towards your face. If you really need it towards your face and your feet to kind of get the AC or the colder air throughout the vehicle, then put it that way. But the best results are usually when the blower motor is blowing no more than halfway at a higher speed. It just doesn't cool quick enough to get premium or optimum results. So yes, Honda AC systems don't really seem to have the edge on other vehicles, although we do get some decent results, especially after driving it for a long time and kind of everything on a highway and stuff like that. So I will say also that a lot of people complain about it, that it takes a long time to cool off, and I touched on this already in a previous video. And I always reference to, if you turn off your AC in your house for a day and then turn it on, it's going to take a while to cool off the house. So kind of same concept happens here, especially when a car's been sitting in a very hot summer day for an extremely long time. Everything is hot. The AC ducts, the AC takes a while to get going, all that stuff, all that hot air is still in the car. So just keep that in mind. So hopefully that answers the question for you. So the next question is, what could be causing your battery to have a drain or a draw? So I will say first and foremost that anything after 3 years on a Honda or Acura product is probably a miracle. Now, I know someone will say in the comments, my battery's 8, 9 years old and it's fine. That's great, but that's not a realistic thing that's going to happen. I change the battery on my personal cars every 3 years or so, with the exception of my Acura that has a lithium battery. So if you're having a battery that's constantly dying and it is new, then obviously you have a drain or a draw happening. Some common things are relays, fuse boxes, multiplexes, window switches, and stuff of that nature. Also look into aftermarket products or parts that you've added into your car, including a remote start, an alarm, some sort of ambient lighting or anything like that. That could be coming on periodically or just at random times. Now some cars, some Hondas and Acuras, the BCMs are known to go bad, so that's obviously something to just be on the lookout for. And typically the alarm will go off, or you'll have the ignition come on when you come up to your car and you say, well, I turned off the ignition. Why is my ignition on? That's your BCM coming on, turning on the ignition, and obviously killing your battery. So it could be very, very tricky. If you have something that you can't pinpoint and it's not obvious, take it to a professional that knows what they are looking for, and they will pinpoint it or try to pinpoint it for you. Now, if it is of random, it could be a little bit harder to pinpoint. Obviously, if it's not happening all the time, it's going to be difficult to pinpoint where and what is causing the issue. Now, if it dies every single night and your battery is new or newer, then chances are that it's something that is obvious, something that's staying on most of the times and killing that battery. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right. So next question is, should you disable your VCM on the Earth Dreams engine? So we're talking 2016 and newer pilots, 2014, I believe, or 2013 Accords, that generation of Hondas. And although we no longer have a common, consistent following of spark plugs, a lot of users do find it beneficial and it's just a smoother driving vehicle with the VCM disengage permanently. There is a system that disengages the VCM. I made a full video on this, again, on the Earth Dreams engines. It's not so much of a fouling or carbon buildup of the spark plugs, although not a fouling of the spark plugs or carbon buildup or anything of that nature, although a lot of people do report that it is a smoother running vehicle, a lot more smoother, transition from VCM to non-VCM. And obviously not taking a toll on the engine mounts, which are part of the VCM, and absorbing those vibrations when it is in a non-full cylinder, full 6-cylinder mode. So there is some benefits, mostly just a long-term reliability and parts not going bad, and just just a smoother ride, smoother transition, and stuff like that. So I will drop a link to that video if you want to check it out. Please feel free to do so. Again, I don't have an issue with it being on, but again, a lot of people do find it a lot more smoother riding vehicle overall. My TLX does have it, and most modes on Sport and Sport Plus mode, it disengages it, and the transition is usually pretty seamless. So that is something nice that Honda and Acura has kind of adjusted and been able to disguise over the years, and they seem to keep improving on it. I still think that I should have full 6 cylinders all the time, and the benefits do not outweigh the negatives overall long term. But it is what it is. It's a part of them trying to get each and every miles per gallon out of these vehicles, which everyone is obviously concerned with nowadays. So hopefully that answers the question for you. All right, last but not least, question of the week. And once again, if you want a chance of one of your questions being answered, make sure you do drop a comment down below. And next week, I should be in my normal setting, a little bit less echoey. The houses here in Europe are super echoey, especially if they're not fully furnished. But anyways, the next question and last question is, a vehicle is pulling. What could be some of the issues? So now, automatically when a vehicle is pulling, everyone seems to think that it's an alignment issue. And 9 out of 10 times it is not. Usually it's either the road you are driving on. So roads do have a crown to them, so the water could drain properly and it doesn't pull up in the middle of the road or the highway. So that's something that a lot of people overlook. A lot of times it could be actual tire wear causing your pulling. A lot of times when people say it's pulling left and right, that usually means it's usually a suspension component. And as you accelerate or decelerate, the suspension kind of gets all wobbly and out of shape and stuff like that, causing the vehicle to drift one way or the other. So it could be a lot of different things. Typically, it's either worn suspension components or tire and a combination of stuff. It could also be a wheel bearing that's bad, so it wouldn't be really suspension bushing or a strut or anything like that. But a wheel bearing could be bad and could be moving around and causing it not to be true to the road. And as you're changing and shifting and stuff like that, it throws the car off balance. Also, if the road is not perfectly even or a lot of potholes like we have here in my area back at home in Jersey. So any little pothole or imperfection you do hit on the road is going to cause the car to go one way or another. Obviously, if there's major suspension damage, then there's going to be severe pulling, and nothing's going to fix that without actually replacing components. So check your tires, check for worn suspension items, check for wheel bearings and stuff like that, and then just be realistic. If you're on the road that's very slanted one way or another, or even if it's not obvious, that could still be a possibility. So if you're on the right lane, it's probably going to pull a little bit to the right. If you're on the left lane, probably a little bit to the left. Just the kind of the way the road is made and crowned to once again dissipate some of that water when it does rain. So that being said, hopefully answers the question for you, and I'll catch everyone on the next one.